Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back to my channel, the best place for hardworking millennials to gain career clarity and learn soft skills. In this video, I'm going to spill the beans on career change personality assessments by using pretty much the same approach as Jordan Peterson with his Big 5 personality traits test, Understand Myself. This same tool is also used for soft skills development and personality development, whichever one you want to call it. Now make sure you subscribe and click the notification bell to receive regular updates on all things related to career soft skills. I also have a Facebook group called Career Clarity and Soft Skills where you can chat with like-minded people who are interested in maximizing their potential. Hi, I'm Dr. John Tam. I have a PhD in sociology from the University of Oxford, and I'm passionate about helping people gain career clarity and build soft skills. So without further ado, let's take a look at Jordan Peterson's personality assessment and see how it can be used for career change and career clarity. Now, one of the main arguments that Jordan Peterson makes about career choice is making sure you enter a job that's suited for your personality. But how do we measure personality correctly? When discussing personality then, there are a lot of options out there and you've got to be careful which tests you take. Tests like the MBTI, StrengthsFinder, Enneagram, DISC, and the sort are not reliable. And when we're talking about reliability in psychometrics, we're talking about whether a test can consistently show the results over time through approaches like test and retest. And we're also talking about validity, which is the test measuring what it says that it's measuring. By today's scientific standards, a lot of the tests that I mentioned before don't really cut it, and no serious researcher uses them. So if you look around here right now, I'm going to post it all around the screen. Each of the screenshots you see here are Google Scholar search results. The fact that no one is talking about them in academic research, in the universities, in where all the research is happening, it shows the lack of reliability and validity of these tools. In fact, most of them are relics from the 1930s to the 1980s. Compared to the Big 5, which I'm going to post up here, you see 835,000 search results and 6.4 million up here for the 5-factor model, which is its official name. I have a video where I go in depth about personality assessments and why the Big 5 personality is the gold standard since the 1990s, so check it out up here if you're interested in learning more. Now, Jordan Peterson uses the Big 5 aspect scale, which he maintains is one of the most robust ones out there with approximately 1,400 citations. Jordan Peterson also acknowledges that the questions are open source and derived from the International Personality Item Pool, the IPIP, which is the standard for asking questions regarding the Big 5 personality traits, and its biggest paper has about 3,000 citations. The other standard is called the NEO-PIR, which has 14,000 citations. And the reason why I'm talking about the citation is not because, whether it says it's right or wrong, but the amount of citations indicate how often they are cited in academic discussions and the extent that they are central to the conversations. So it's not about whether they're right or wrong, it's about the centrality and whether people are even talking about them. And if they're being talked about, at least it's worth debating. So let's go into the computer right now and take a look at Understand Myself. So right now we're in the inside of my own report, and this is my personal report. So essentially, if you look up the top, there's basically the Big 5: agreeableness, conscientiousness, extroversion, neuroticism, and openness to experience. And for each of these bullets, there are the 2 sub-traits to that, so the 2 aspects. For example, in agreeableness, we're going to look at compassion and politeness, and the other ones are respectively here. So if you look at agreeableness, what you have is you have descriptors on the side, you have the percentile breakdown. I am less agreeable than 70 of 100 people. And so that's very useful because not only do you need to know what your personality is like, but you need to understand it relative to everyone else. Because if you're on the extreme ends of personality, what happens is you'll probably have problems dealing with the other 90 people in the world because you're just far more disagreeable, right? And if your agreeableness is in the 90th percentile, what that means is you're more agreeable than most people, and you could be regarded as a people pleaser or a pushover, or someone that's just way too nice to their detriment. And also, it breaks down into sub-traits, and for the sub-traits, it also has the percentile, right? So compassion, I am in the 48th percentile, I'm in the middle. Politeness, I'm relatively low. I'll get straight to the point. I'm not exactly differential to authority unless they deserve it or they demand it, right? And I'm willing to push back when challenged. And that's just typically how I behave based on my answers on the personality test. And I would say it's generally pretty accurate. At the very top of the Big 5 aspect scale, what you have is the option of doing a relationship report. And if you want to check out the relationship report review that my wife and I did, you can click on the cards above. Essentially, what the relationship report is it compares your personality with your partner's, and it reviews the virtues and faults, the strengths and blind spots, and it's just a really useful tool. Now, there's a lot of Big 5 personality tests out there that's essentially free, and by answering those questions, you get a report. And to be honest, this is probably the first time I've seen something that is a relationship report where you can compare two people's personalities at, honestly, it's about 20 bucks, right? Because it's 10 bucks per person, at least at the time of making this video. And so by having two people's reports put together, you can see the strengths and weaknesses and what are the things that you gotta look out for and what are the things that you can capitalize on. So essentially, if I'm to give an overview of this personality test, I would say it's very accurate. And the option of having a relationship report is an awesome one, especially if you are in a relationship or you have a partner, right? Jordan Peterson's test costs $10 and it is really high quality. If you want to take a free one and you want to save on the $10, you can go to the descriptions below and take a Big 5 personality test, which gives tailored feedback based on your results regarding your career. The difference is that the free tool I have below only has low, medium, high, while Jordan Peterson's is much higher in resolution with a percentile breakdown of who you are in terms of where you are relative to everyone else, right? And in this case, extremities generally matter a lot in personality because that's where you see a lot of your daily problems manifested. Based on Jordan Peterson's results, he actually recommends you to take the self-authoring program, which is an autobiographical tool for you to create a self-narrative. And there is peer-reviewed research indicating that it helps improve academic achievement and school retention for college students, especially young men. In my opinion, Jordan Peterson's tool is solid, but not really enough for a full-on career change or a career clarity test. I want to show you what I have in my toolbox to help people gain career clarity. And there's going to be several stops in this video. The first one is the Workplace Big 5 personality test, which is a Big 5 tailored specifically for the workplace. So the difference with Jordan Peterson's is that it's more of a generic Big 5. This one is specific to the workplace because how we are at home and how we are at work is completely different. The second thing I want to show you is what we call a trait capacitor, which measures the energy you have for specific tasks at work. The third stop we're going to have is the career guider that matches the Big 5 personality traits to other personality tests out there for specifically finding your career path. Have you tried Jordan Peterson's Understand Myself before? If so, let me know in the comments your experience with it. I personally use the Workplace Big 5 personality traits for my career coaching, which is Big 5 specific for the workplace. The reason I use that is because how a person behaves at work is different from how they behave at home or with their friends. Also, some of the traits are more relevant than others at work. So that's why you really need a specific workplace Big 5 test rather than a generic Big 5 test. So without further ado, let's take a look at the Workplace Big 5 personality test. What a career coach would have in terms of their assessments. And I personally use Paradigm Personality Labs, and they use the Workplace Big 5 personality assessments, which is specific for the workplace. And if you look at it, there's, ocean, but they've reorganized it in a different way. And so for each of these personalities, this is a sample person, so it's not a real person, but for each of these, there's a scale and there's a description for it, which basically tells you what a personality is like in a workplace. And for each of these, what we call super traits, for example, for neostability, which is trait neuroticism, in the common literature, there are sub-personalities in there, which we call sub-traits. And so the need for stability is the super trait, and you have a number of sub-traits. And you go down, and each of the Big 5 would have a broad category for that. And so here's a general overview of a person's personality. And you can see there are many descriptions, like tend to speak more direct. For an extrovert, in terms of their tact, they either tend to speak more directly versus carefully selecting the words. And so a personality assessment like this would give a very clear understanding of someone's work performance and their work preferences. And this would actually be a very good mirror for people to better understand how they are in the workplace. So there you go. That's what a high quality Workplace Big 5 personality test looks like. When it comes to things like workplace behavior, personality plays a role. Tasks that involve complex soft skills like leadership are usually a combination of personality traits. They're not just like one thing. You can't be a leader just because you're an extrovert, right? So the literature on the Big Five and leadership consistently shows that leaders exhibit combinations of Big Five traits. So let's take a look at the trait capacitor. So for leaders in the workplace, one thing that we look out for as career coaches is what is your leadership orientation? So using the Big Five personality traits, which really narrows down different aspects of being a leader, we can then map it onto, hey, these are the requirements for a leader, and typically, will you have the energy to do these things? And in this case, once again, it's a sample person. You look at the personality traits, you can map out, hey, the leadership orientation isn't that high, it's outside their comfort zone. And the reason for that is you break it down and you look at, hey, trait neuroticism. So these are all different aspects of trait neuroticism. I don't know why I'm highlighting, but there's different aspects of trait neuroticism that is being covered, such as, generally, are you a neurotic? And is that going to do well for your leadership? And then we map out, hey, do you have the energy for that? And you look at it, each person, even for leadership, there are different aspects of leaderships that needs to be covered. And so each personality trait will play a role in that. And so by having a good assessment to map out a person's individual proclivities and their preferences, what you get as a result is also a pretty good picture of what kind of workplace performance issues are coming up and what are the soft skills that a person needs to build to shape their environment, or perhaps they need to adjust the job to better fit their personalities. So once again, it's always easier to adjust a job to a person than the other way around. Now this last part is really where the Big Five flexes its power. If a personality model is valid, it can be adapted to apply to other existing models. I use this career guider assessment as the secret weapon for my career clarity clients because personality is such a major part of who we are. It has major consequences to our work satisfaction. So here's the inside look to this tool to see what I mean. And finally, one of the tools that I love using the most is the Career Guider, which takes the Big Five personality traits and maps it across different models for career satisfaction. So if you look here, there's a whole list of things that we can map the Big Five to. And if you scroll down, okay, let's skip the summary. And then we get into career planning. So for example, the ACT World of Work map, which is a very popular model, whether people like ideas or things versus people or data, right? These are different preferences that people naturally have. It's a tried and true model that a lot of people have been using for a long while. And by mapping the Big Five personality traits on this, we get a better understanding of, hey, based on your personality, what these things, what kind of aspects of work would bring the most satisfaction to you. So you see the chart here. There's the ideas versus things, people versus data here. And of course, you move down. Okay, there's the Holland hexagon, another popular model for jobs. And so you look at whether people prefer the realistic or the social, investigative versus enterprising, conventional versus artistic. Once again, you can map the Big Five to this. I particularly love this one, which is the ACT World of Work Attribute Preferences, which is basically 25 preferences for work characteristics. And this is and later on in this video, I'll talk about the non-negotiables, the preferables, and the bonuses, the nice things to have. And if you look at this, this is basically based on your personality. You would typically prefer easy reentry to new ideas. So these are kind of the typical non-negotiables in your personality. And once again, this is a sample person. I'm not saying that you specifically, but I'm talking about people. And based on personality, we could project what these would probably be like. And so by having these models and having these as kind of a sounding board, they're not prescriptions. They're not saying you are this, but it's likely that you are this. And what we find is that the data, and what we find is that this is typically quite accurate. And so while doing personality tests, this is one thing that a career coach would have that a regular person would not have, because these are services that cater specifically to the task of tailoring the job to you, to building soft skills, of adjusting and helping you do a career transition. And so these are things that career coaches can provide that regular people simply will not have available to them. The last step is to build career soft skills. While the personality test and the career guide shows us different aspects of our preferences at work, only we know what we truly enjoy. And therefore, the best thing to do is to reflect on who we are, where we're at, and where do we want to go. Based on the personality assessment results, we can strategically plan how to build the soft skills to meet our goals. So for example, if you're an introvert, you would generally have a larger introverted battery than an extroverted battery. Building soft skills for public speaking, networking, and how you really can relate with anyone will allow you to be more efficient with your extrovert battery, so you have the option to go further with the limited extrovert battery that you have. If you're a natural multitasker, like being relatively low in conscientiousness, making a deliberate effort to implement habits to focus on tasks will help you a lot. If you're naturally super conscientious, then things like scheduling time to be spontaneous would be very healthy. If you want to know what your personality is like for the workplace, go take my free Big 5 personality test in the descriptions below. Make sure you join my Facebook group, Career Clarity and Soft Skills, to be in a community of people who are interested in building soft skills for their career success. In my next video, I'm going to be talking about soft skills and personality development to expand on this topic and teach you how to leverage your strengths and cover your blind spots. So make sure you click the subscribe button and click the notification bell to receive updates. If you like this video, give it a like and leave a comment below and let me know your thoughts. Also, share it with your friends if you found this valuable. Take care, everybody.